Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Parks, Arts, and the Community Services Commission meeting of October 28th. We'll call this meeting to order at 4 p.m. Commissioner Brown, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Happy to. At this point, if you'd like to stand and turn off your video, and you can repeat with me, or put your hand over your heart, I'm so sorry, and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Fatua, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Alrighty. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
I'm here.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Glapp.
Here.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Here.
Chair Ashendorf.
Present.
All right. All commissioners are present for the meeting.
Thank you very much. The next item is the approval of the minutes of September 23rd. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
There is one for Dorn Parker's name for roll call.
Thank you. Are there any other corrections?
I didn't even notice that. Thank you.
You're on the alert now.
Now I'll have to look. Would you? I will make a motion for approval with that correction noted.
Thank you very much. Call for the question. Oh, it's is there a second? I'm sorry.
I second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Call for the question.
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak regarding the approval of the minutes? I see no hands raised. We can now do a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta. Commissioner, was that a yes? Sorry. Okay. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Glapp.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much. It's good to see all of the commissioners here today and welcome to the public. We have a full agenda, but before we move on, let's go to public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes on items not on today's agenda. Ms. Fatua, do we have anyone in the public wishing to address the commission?
Yes, right now I see 2 hands raised. I have Jen Tanaka. Jen Tanaka, you may now speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So thank you so much for letting me speak this afternoon. My name is Jen Tanaka, and I am a resident of the 6th District of the East Side, a mom of 2 kids, and a dog owner. Assuming the recommended design for Tanninger is going to be approved today, it looks like there will be, or at least, at some point, it looks like there'll be a budgeted surplus, even if the other park, Jordan's renovation, comes in over budget. So I'm here to urge the commission to use the surplus or whatever funds are available to seed a renovation of Harper Park, or at least look at that. It's my view that it's long overdue for attention, and I believe the need is pretty urgent. Like Tanninger and Jordan, Harper hasn't been touched since the 1990s. The playground equipment is worn and simply isn't designed to be accessible. The tire swing in particular, it actually requires multiple kids to use, able-bodied kids, and otherwise it's kind of unsafe and pretty impossible to use. And I just think this is so unfortunate. This is a neighborhood park, and it's right next to the Harper Assessment Center, as you know, which serves children with special needs. There's only one picnic table, and it doesn't really have any shade, and so it's not really used very well. And also, since the park has been last updated, Eastside, Costa Mesa has really changed, in my view. And it's now home to a lot of families with young kids. And as Eastside homes are likely to have yards, many of these families have dogs, including myself. And there's a brand new charter school that just opened next door in the Harbor Assessment Center. And now students are hanging out in the park more than ever before, which is great. But it means that this little park which is the closest park for every East Side resident living below Costa Mesa Street that doesn't want to dodge traffic crossing Newport Boulevard, is shouldering just an enormous burden. It serves also as a de facto dog park, as some of you may know. In the early morning and late afternoon, there's a great group of dog owners that meet up and exercise their dogs there, but they're often doing that on a leash. And while I think this is a great asset to our community, I think it discourages loitering and other misuse by keeping eyes on the park. These dogs obviously conflict with the use of the playground by kids. And there's a small retaining wall there between the playground and the green space, and it's just too low to keep dogs out from wandering into the play area, or literal ones, or to keep them from wandering in and little ones from wandering out. So unsurprisingly, I just want to make you guys aware, there've been several pretty scary incidents involving large dogs and small kids. And even my own kids have been knocked down and they've come away pretty shook up. So I think both groups can use the park, but just not the way it's currently laid out. And I don't think policy enforcement alone are the right way to approach this, because, you know, extra patrols are expensive, and the park really should work for everyone anyway. So I think the problem is fundamental, but it's very solvable. We just need a better design. And Harbor is long overdue for an update. It fails to serve our kids with special needs, and someone, probably a little kid, might get hurt while we wait. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I believe all these issues can be addressed. We just need to act comprehensively. So thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Tanaka. Is there someone else who wishes to speak, Ms. Fatua?
Yes, I see Jim. Jim, you may now speak.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my comments. We were out at Tanninger today. My comment is adjacent to the playground structure. It's two parts. First, it would have been awesome if there was some signage out there advertising this meeting, so that people who aren't on Facebook or getting regular emails from the city would know about the plans for the new play structures, and maybe they could come and lend some comments. Secondly, the basketball structure, the one that this neighbors convinced the city to tear down a few decades ago, it's been turned into a de facto or a user-generated pickleball court. There's two pickleball courts lined out one way and then one pickleball court lined out the other way. And for the uninitiated, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. Old people like it, young people like it. And I'm just wondering if, as part of the attention being paid to Tanninger Park, something formal could be done to create those pickleball courts in, in a formal way. I had one other thought. What was that?
So I had an idea for the park. I want to add a zip line.
So we were there today and thought maybe a zip line would be nice as well. So that's all, and thanks for listening.
Are there any other comments, Ms. Fatua?
If there are any other members who wish to speak, please raise your hand. And this is pertaining to items that are not on the agenda. I do see Bob Amron. You may now
Hello?
speak.
You'll need to unmute yourself, Mr. Amron.
Got it. Did that work?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Bob Amron and I live on Starbird right next to Tanninger Park. And I want to piggyback on what Jim just said about the pickleball courts.
Excuse me, Mr. Amron, that item is on today's agenda.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is. It will be coming up shortly under new business.
Okay, then I'll back out. Thank you so much.
And please join us at that time.
Sure, you bet. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else, Ms. Fatua?
Yes, Bruce Green. Bruce Green, you may now speak on items that are not pertaining to the agenda.
I'm sorry, I am on the agenda for tree removal, 2722 Sandpiper.
All right, I'll go ahead and remove you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can we close public comment now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll close public comment and move to commissioner comments. And let us start with Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just keep it really brief today. I know we have a long agenda. I just wanted to thank city staff for another great month of events and the team really getting out there and doing heavy lift and doing great outreach. And I know those events reflect the work of many folks on city staff, but I wanted to commend Jason, Monique, and your team, and Ashley as well for your leadership. And then in closing, just really want to encourage everybody to continue having a conversation with anybody that's unvaccinated or on the fence about it. I like to think we're really close to rounding the corner on this pandemic, but it's really one conversation at a time that's making the difference right now. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, real quick, I attended the Barktoberfest on Saturday. I bumped into Director Minter there. Great seeing him, and it rained and still got a really good turnout, a lot of fun, and enjoyed it. It was a nice event to attend, so congrats.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
None of this time aside from just echoing Vice Chair's sentiments. I enjoyed the Scarecrow Festival. It was super fun. Thank you so much for engaging so many great vendors and activities that day. I even got to hop over. I heard that the model engineers were running that same day, so we quickly hopped over to Fairview. So it was definitely a fun-filled event for my family. So much appreciation.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Brown.
I wanted to echo that as well about the Scarecrow Festival. So my daughter and I went, and it was impressive, you all who put the event on, to see that number of city staff out there engaging with people. And so I just wanted to acknowledge all of the work that went into that event. And I grew up going to a Scarecrow Festival up in Northern California. It was something that they put on in Vacaville. And so I had these memories of being a child. And as I left, I was thinking about, just wondering, and I raised this for us to consider as we move through the year, like what makes for a successful event? And so as I was trying to answer that question for myself, I was wondering, what makes an event unique? Like, how does it represent for me a place or a space? And so I've just been contemplating that as I also think about the relationship between parks and art. And so one of the things that I wanted to raise in my comments today was, I'm very excited to see the arts position, the arts specialist position advertised, and I have shared it with my colleagues at UCI. And I was wondering if it would be possible to get an update, perhaps on the arts master plan in the new year, in January or February. I don't know if city hiring is like university hiring. It will take, it takes us 3 to 4 months to get somebody on board. So I don't know if that would make sense, but as the newest member, I would be very curious to hear an update about that. And then this was all inspired just by going to the Scarecrow Festival. The other thing I've been thinking about in relationship to the connection between parks and arts is whether, and this is a pitch to the commissioners, something that is unique for me about Costa Mesa is the coffee shop scene. There's such a thriving, bustling coffee shop scene. And so as I was asking myself what makes for a successful event, who shows up, who doesn't, I thought, I wonder how much we tap into people who attend, who go to coffee shops, and whether those families and individuals also show up. So my pitch to you all is, would any of you be interested in partnering up with me to host sessions at our local coffee shops? I'd be willing to go to a coffee shop in your district to maybe have a session where we talk about what the city is doing. Maybe a city staff member could go with us or not, to talk about like what kind of programs we offer, what are some things to look forward to, as well as ask those questions. What are people interested in? And I say this because I am interested in getting out and hearing from people. I just want to do it through a way that maybe is a little bit less traditional. So instead of going to the parks, I'd actually like to go somewhere else and see who we might be able to reach. So I put that out there if you're interested. And if I am the only one interested in this, then I will let it go. But I wanted to put this out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Brown. Love your enthusiasm. Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, thanks. I'll sort of make this short. As you can tell from one of the members who popped in from my community about the concerns about parks, and the good news, the concern is because the greater access and use of our parks, especially on the east side. So I'll be continuing to work with the community locally, and I will start to work with our council member representing us to see how do we move forward, and how do we make sure the parks have spaces, equipment, and resources that fit with what their use is now, and maybe exploring public-private partnerships. And I might be an old broken record, but I think this is really critical so we can move forward in a way that helps our budget, but also in an equitable fashion, knowing that certain parts of our community have more personal resources than others. So figure out how those community parts, especially on the east side, can support the sides of our community that don't have as much personal wealth. So that's something I wanted the commissioners to know. The other area, which I know we got some communication and we've been having conversations, but I would like to put on the January agenda, if it's okay with our chair, is a motion that we have where we request the council to review all of our bicycling rules and regs. I mean, they were in the 70s and 80s, and I just want to commend, we have our city police now back in some of the elementary schools doing these bike rodeos, but with the e-bikes and with the conversations on how to have safe streets, how to have education, I just think we're really out of step. And I'd like to see this, if it's okay with the chair, to be on our, I think our next meeting is January, isn't that correct? And to have that as an action item to recommend to the city council, if the majority of the commissioners believe that they take this up sooner than later. We just, on the east side, there are so many issues with bikes and e-bikes, and the conversations about bicycling licensing and what it does and that kind of stuff. So with that, I will let it go. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorn Parker. And my comments, I want to echo what was said about the art specialist. There are some of us who have been hoping for this day and working towards seeing an art specialist for years, and it's going to be coming. 2022 will really be a great time for the arts. And thank you for sharing the information to people you know. Also, I attended the 21st Orange County Arts Award at Samueli Theater on the 19th. It was wonderful to celebrate again with Rick Stein and 300 art enthusiasts as they recognized so many different accomplishments over this last year. One in particular I'd like to acknowledge is Tom Titus. Tom Titus wrote for the Daily Pilot for 55 years. He was a strong advocate for Civic Playhouse, the one in particular in our city. And he really, really brought art to life in our community. So it was a wonderful, wonderful event. I would also like to acknowledge that I've been serving on a steering committee with the County of Orange and Charitable Ventures, working toward the master planning for the future of seniors in the community. And so a couple of things that were announced at the meeting was that thanks to the Board of Supervisors, there's money now for robotic pets for seniors who are suffering from isolation, as well as iPads and technology training for our seniors. And I'm hoping that the director can let us know later if there are plans for our seniors to be recipients of those iPads. So with that, we will move on to old business.
Chairperson, can I make a couple comments really quick?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
I think we should acknowledge you for the little article in the paper, the little feature on little free libraries and little free canvases. So congratulations to you for that little feature. Another thing, more importantly, kind of a matter of business, for the advisement of the city attorney, I just wanted to make sure that all the committee members know that for the duration of the meeting, you should remain on camera. during all discussions. If you need to take a quick break, that's one thing, but while discussions are happening, please remain on camera for the duration of the meeting. Just some issues we've had at other meetings and wanting to make sure that everyone's on the same page here at the start. So I know we're buckling in for what could be a couple hours, so please do your best to stay on camera at all times. All right, and congratulations, Chair. Very, very nice little feature on you.
Thank you very much. The old business tree removal request, does staff have an update on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair Ashendorf. Good afternoon, Commission. I'll share a quick photo just to refresh everyone's memory. If that's going to, no, maybe it won't show up. Hang on one second. Fortunately, it's not coming up. Maybe bear with me one second. Can everyone see that photo that I'm sharing? Okay, so at the April 22nd, 2021 meeting, the Commission denied a request for a tree removal at 1777 Oreo Drive. As part of that motion, it was included the 6-month update be provided by staff. So the area was inspected on October 26th. There's no additional cracking or movement of the small retaining wall that surrounded the property, which was a concern of the applicant. And as you can see, engineering staff has marked the sidewalk in front of the home for removal and replacement. That work is scheduled to proceed, I believe, this Monday morning. So they'll remove that sidewalk panel, replace them. Once the sidewalk panel is removed, the city arborist will have the opportunity to inspect the root system and determine if they can do some selective root pruning or some root shaving in order to minimize any future issues there. So that's all I had for an update on that. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I just want to thank the staff for remembering to come back and address some of the concerns we have and be there for the homeowner, but also come back to the committee. So thank you very much for that update and understanding that the arborist will also be out there to support healthy trees, green trees, and also the homeowner. So thank you.
Thank you for that update, Mr. Ryan. We will now move to new business and ask Mr. Ryan not to go too far as we move to item A, tree removal on 3462 Wimbledon Way.
All right, I think as Director Minter mentioned, we're in this for the long haul. I'll try to keep these moving and be brief. The first item before you is a request for removal of a city tree located within Wimbledon Park, adjacent to 3462 Wimbledon Way. The applicant contacted the Maintenance Services Department on June 15th, 2021, requesting the removal of a Canary Island pine tree located within Wimbledon Park, just west of their home. The applicant reported the tree was dropping excessive amount of pine needles. The pine needles were dropping onto the roof and into the rain gutters. It required quarterly cleaning due to this drop. The applicant also cited concerns regarding cracks in her garage floor and the potential for future cracks in the backyard patio, as well as the city-owned wall that separates the property from Wimbledon Park. The city arborist inspected the tree, found no justification for removal at staff level. The applicant was notified of these findings and requested that the tree be presented to the PAX Commission for consideration as a Category 3 discretionary removal. The tree and surrounding area were inspected on June 16th, 2021. Tree is approximately 60 feet in height and is located within Wimbledon Park. Base of the tree is approximately 12 feet away from the city-owned wall just west of 3462 Wimbledon Way. That's a tree, obviously, with the red arrow pointing at it. The tree is healthy, pest-free, and in good condition, and was last maintained on January 15th, 2018, which is well within our 3 to 5 year maintenance goals. The area was inspected. There were no significant signs of pine needles or other debris in the surrounding area. nor on the roof of the home at the time of the inspection. These are two separate pictures, two separate days. No significant sign of pine needles on the ground. And no significant cracking noted in the driveway at the time. The photo supplied by the applicant shows some pine needles accumulating in the gutter. Does not appear to be an unusual amount for this type of tree. I think it should be noted that it's completely normal and natural for pine trees to shed their old needles and to produce new ones on a regular basis. That's part of their growth habit. So it's expected to see pine needles that are dropping onto the roof, into the gutters, and into the park as well. There is no visible signs of cracking or movement in the fence. There was a little bit of cracking noted in the driveway approach, but again, the driveway seemed free of any cracks or settling. City staff did request photos of the garage floor and concrete in the backyard. However, we never received any photos of those. There were two previous work orders pertaining to this address. One dated September 17th, 2013, reported roots from the tree were causing a misalignment of the side gate. On October of 2013, 15 feet of 12-inch root barrier was installed in response to that work order. A second work order dated August 6, 2014 reported the roots were still impacting the side gate. In September of 2014, root pruning was performed and an additional 12 feet of 12-inch root barrier was installed. That extended 6 feet in either direction using the gate as a center point. The city-owned tree being requested for removal is located in Wimbledon Park, just west of 3462 Wimbledon Way. Tree's in good condition, has been maintained on a regular schedule. The root issues have been addressed by city staff. There does not appear to be an unusual amount of tree debris for this type of tree. This tree does not meet the criteria for Category 1 health and safety removal. Therefore, it is recommended that the commission deny the request to remove this tree. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any specific questions of Mr. Ryan before we open this up for public comment? All right, seeing none, is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak, Ms. Fatua? I'm sorry. Will you unmute, Ms. Fatua?
Sorry about that. You may now speak.
Thank you.
Helen Frakeminer.
Hello, welcome. Ms. Frakeminer? Ms. Frakeminer, it looks like you're on mute. All right, now try. Can you try to adjust your volume? I can barely hear you. Well, I'm very sorry. Do we have anything else any other way we can assist Ms. Frakeminer?
If you are on the phone number by chance, I would hit *6 if you're looking to raise your hand. All right. right, I'm gonna have to remove you if you are not speaking.
Perhaps we can move to a few questions and see if Ms. Minor can make another attempt. Okay. I did have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Ryan. One is, there was a comment that the homeowner stated that there was in her letter that the tree is damaging their roof. Did you notice any issues with their roof?
No, we didn't notice any issues with the roof. We did see that. We asked for clarification, some backup information for that as well, but we never received any additional information.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other commissioner comments?
Madam Chair, just a quick comment. Perhaps if the homeowner can't join us on the call tonight, we could continue the item to a meeting just so that they could have an opportunity to express themselves.
Or as our vice chair said, maybe can we move it farther down on the agenda to see if the homeowner can figure out a way to get on with with her speaker, or what would, yeah.
I can try contacting her and then we can move on to the other items and maybe bring her in another form.
All right, thank you. I think that's most appropriate, given that she has made an attempt to try to reach us.
It looks like she's dropped from the call or from the Zoom as of now.
Yes.
If she would be trying to log in, we can keep tabs on that.
Thank you very much. Do we have to do something officially?
So Chair, I would like to move that we change the order of the agenda for item new business 9A, that we suspend it right now until later time, either during the meeting when the homeowner can hop on. And if at the end of and I'll make a motion that we try to get to it this agenda item and leave it up to the chair to define when it comes back onto the agenda. Is that clear enough?
Yes. Is there a second to that?
Yeah.
Vice Chair Rutherford seconds. All right, then we'll officially call for the question to support this motion to.
There are any members of the comment who would wish to speak? Please raise your hand. I see no hands raised. We can now do a roll call vote. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Glab.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes. And
motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, commissioners, and Ms. Patua for trying to assist. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, Mr. Ryan tree removal request at 2722 Sandpiper.
I'll have to scroll through. It's actually halfway through. It keeps starting me over. I apologize. All right. The next item for you is request for removal of the city tree located within the public right-of-way in front of 2722 Sandpiper. The applicant contacted the Maintenance Services Department on July 17th, 2021, requesting the removal of a Canary Island pine located within the public right-of-way in front of their home at 2722 Sandpiper Drive. The applicant reported that the tree produces pollen, which has led to severe allergy issues for him and his wife. The applicant also stated that the tree was dropping an excessive amount of pine needles and sap. The sap falls onto the cars beneath the tree, which require regular maintenance of the yard, cars, in the sidewalk. The applicant alleged that the cleaning and sap can cause damage to the clear coat of the car, and the sap is tracked into the home, causing damage to the wood floors in the home. Finally, the applicant cited concerns regarding root damage to the sidewalk, street, and sewer lines. The city arborist inspected the tree and found no justification for removal at staff level. The applicant was notified of these findings and requested that the tree be presented to the PAX Commission for consideration as a Category 3 discretionary removal. Search of the city's maintenance services internal work order system revealed the following work requests. October 16th, 2017, maintenance services received a request to have the tree trimmed. The city arborist evaluated the tree and determined the tree did not need to be trimmed at that time. The tree had been previously trimmed in November of 2015. On April 3rd, 2018, maintenance services received a request to have the tree trimmed as well. The city arborist evaluated the tree again and determined that the tree did not need to be trimmed at that time. And finally, on September 24th, 2018, maintenance services received a request to have the tree removed. The Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission reviewed the above requests from the resident on January 24th, 2019. The commission approved the recommendation from staff to deny the request for removal at that time. The tree in the surrounding area was inspected on August 2nd, 2021. The tree is approximately 45 to 60 feet in height and is located within the parkway in front of 2722 Sandpiper Drive. The tree is healthy, pest-free, and in good condition, and was last maintained on December 10th, 2018. The surrounding area was inspected and there were no significant signs of pine needles or other debris on the ground. There are no obvious signs of sap on the sidewalk or asphalt beneath the tree at the time of inspection. It should be noted, it is completely normal and natural for pine trees to shed their old needles as part of their growth habit, as we mentioned in the last presentation. And it is actually also normal for them to produce some amount of sap. While pines do produce a considerable amount of pollen that's clearly visible at certain times throughout the year, the pine pollen is generally not considered highly allergenic. The applicant did not provide any evidence that the allergy issues are specifically caused by pine pollen. Most individuals that do suffer from allergies from pine pollen are also affected by grass pollen and other pollen in the area. It's important to note that there are 3 other pine trees that are growing within less than 100 feet of the applicant's residence. There are additional pine trees located further down the block, as you can see in these photos. These factors made it difficult to justify removal at staff level. There were several lifts of sidewalk beneath the tree noted. Sidewalk grinds were performed in the past and on several of the panels. Those grinds appear to be holding and do not appear to be causing any issue at this time. Additionally, there was some damage to the asphalt adjacent to the tree. City staff did perform a localized dig out and repair to the area on October 13th, 2021. The city-owned tree being requested for removal is located in the public right-of-way in front of 2722 Sandpiper Drive. The tree is in good condition, has been maintained on a regular schedule. The root issues in the sidewalk and asphalt have been addressed. There was no evidence of any sewer issues related to the roots from this tree. The tree does not appear to be producing an unusual amount of litter or sap or other debris for this type of tree. It has not been established that the pine tree is the cause of the allergy issues that the applicant is suffering. Removal of this tree would most likely not alleviate the allergy issues, as there are other sources of allergens on the property and there are additional pine trees in close proximity to this address. This tree does not meet criteria for Category 1 health and safety removal. Therefore, it's recommended the commission deny the request to remove this tree. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Are there questions from the commissioners before we open to public comment? All right. Seeing none, Ms. Fatua, do we have anyone wishing to address this item from the public?
I had a quick question, Chairwoman.
Oh, I see it in the corner there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know there's a lot of us on the screen today.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to confirm, because I was able to drive by, I didn't have time to stop and observe. There is a lot of pines. Is this the same exact pine that's planted throughout those streets that I saw? So it's the same species of pine?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, have allergies to a particular kind of tree, in my case olive, I do know if you remove one olive tree, but you have 20 others, which is in my neighborhood, I know that's really tough. So, okay, I just want to make sure the pine trees, because I'm not an arborist, we're the same, all the same species of pine.
Thank you.
That's it.
Were there any other hands? All right. Seeing none, then Ms. Fatua, do we have members of the public wishing to speak?
If there are any members of who wish to speak, can you please raise your hand? I do see one hand raised. Bruce Green, you may now speak.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. Okay, good. This is my first time using Zoom, so bear with me, please. Robert Ryan, nice presentation. You got everything almost right. May I clarify a couple of things? My wife doesn't have allergies. I do. She has bronchial asthma. Both of our illnesses, we'll call them, have gotten worse since we moved here 3 years ago. It really is a terrible thing in the springtime when that thing is producing pollen. And my whole property gets yellowish green stuff on it. And by the way, that tree is so big, it's 40 feet in girth, and I think it's more like 75 feet in height. It's not 45 feet in height. It's gigantic. It is 8 steps away from 2 windows, bedroom windows in my house, okay? In 8 steps, that's 24 feet. It is immediately downwind from the coastal winds that come in. This is a big deal because those other trees that you show pictures of, well, 2 of them are on the opposite side of the street, and those people, they don't have to clean up this mess, and they don't get that debris in their windows and on their house and in their breathing. We do. We're directly downwind. I think that's probably the biggest issue. I'm going to go on. You mentioned in your analysis that some alternatives considered were the removal and replacement of the tree per the streetscape and medium development standards category 3. I would agree to all that. I would agree to pay. I'd put a check in the mail tomorrow for the full amount, $1,265, to remove that tree and to plant 3 other trees, including the big box tree. But I think honestly, the category 2 is where I lie. And I'm just going to go through it because what it says is and I'll pay for it too, because in category 2, I think that it states that I would have to pay the full amount anyway. Any tree where the amount and or nature of litter from the tree is significantly greater than can be expected from a typical tree of that variety, specifically to the direction of all that stuff coming into my house, then it is significantly greater. These other people, they just don't have that stuff coming into their house like this. And secondly, it says any tree where impacts on surrounding or public or private property improvements are significant or are potentially significant in the future. And I plan on putting artificial grass out there and conserving water. If that tree were removed, I'd have artificial grass put in, installed. That would benefit, I think. Everyone may be able to agree on that. The reason I can't do that while the tree is there is because there's just too much stuff coming out of there. I could never maintain my property that way, because a lot of times I am mowing those pine needles up. Many times for you guys, you took pictures when there wasn't any pine needles. My wife and I literally filled 3 trash cans full of pine needles the other day after a big wind. And anyway, the last part of that is the tree is causing unreasonable impacts on the property owner where it is located, and that's a definite that's definitely happening with both of our breathing. I'm right now on Claritin D. I'm on a nasal inhaler that's a steroid nasal inhaler, and as well as a bronchial. My wife does breathing treatments. She has a machine where she puts steroids into, and these steroids are not good for you guys. They're not good for you. And the argument were those other trees over there on the other side of the street, you guys, there's no way that the winds that come in here are going to blow anything from those trees that are north of me into my property. So the one tree that's 8 steps from 2-bedroom windows of my house is the one that's causing this problem. I'll write the check tomorrow, guys.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Green.
You're welcome.
Ms. Fatua, is there anyone else wishing to speak to the commission?
If there are any other members who wish to speak regarding this item, please raise your hand. I see no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close public comments on this item. Are there any comments or questions now opening this up to the commission? Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Green, for coming before us tonight. I empathize with your health situation that you're in, and I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that. I unfortunately, I think we also have to reconcile with, our job on this commission to be good stewards over green space in the city. And healthy trees. And as somebody that's spent my whole life growing up in Southern California, I can tell you there's not many places in Orange County and Southern California where you won't find pine trees. It's just a part of living here. So unfortunately, I don't think evidence to remove the tree is compelling. And so I would make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
I agree with a lot of the vice chair's comments, and I'm really sorry about the health issues. As someone who has asthma, I recognize that, but also as stewards of our green space and our trees, I concur that I will support Vice Chair Rutherford's motion to deny.
Thank you, Commissioner Doran Parker. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments before we call for the question from the commissioners? Thank you very much. All right, call for the question.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Doran Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Glab.
No.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1 with Commissioner Glab saying no.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to comment. We do have record of the person who we attempted for 9A, if you'd like to bring her on.
Now is a good time. Thank you very much. All right, then we'll open this for public comment. And if you can unmute yourself
Okay, you can now speak.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, this is Mary Helen Frake Minor, and I'm calling on behalf of my mom, Joanne Frake. She has laryngitis and has hurt her back. We were away in Laughlin, so I could not go to her house today for her to speak. But in regards to this tree, yes, in the past, let me just say I have called and called and called. My mom has called. We've written letters. We've sent pictures regarding the cracking of the foundation, which Mr. Ortez never said to send any pictures of the sort. We have submitted many, many pictures. I don't know where they've all gone. He has said to us in the past that they maybe got lost in the mail. So I guess the last 5 or 6 that you have presently in your packet, now you can see some of the pine needles, which, by the way, the pine needles cannot be removed by the lawnmowers because they are so thick. My mother has seen rats running across the street. They're making nests in the pine needles as well. The gutters are being cleaned now every month, which is costing my mother a lot of money. My dad used to go out and do this for the Park District because they were in so abundance out there, and they were causing a lot of dust and a lot of, foliage around the tree. The tree also, when the mowers come out, they cannot get around the tree to the brick wall because it is so high, piled high with the pine needles. Two men came out between 214 and the present time, 2021, from your office and said the tree is leaning on the house. And in the one picture that you did show, no, that must, I don't, I have seen it. I've taken the pictures, and the tree is, the branches are leaning on the house. Might I add that these canary, and I can't pronounce because I'm not an arborist, they are usually, and they can be, single leader trees. I did a little research. I don't know how long ago these were done, 30 years, I'm sure they've been up there. My parents have lived there for about 20 years. I know that there is a type of removing the higher percentage of the branches and the foliage than a traditional pruning. That can be done also. But we have not seen any significant service to this tree, this one particular tree. Again, it is breaking up the foundation. The day you took the pictures, there wasn't any pine needles in those pictures. So I don't know where those pictures were taken, because the ones that I have sent and submitted, they have pine needles in the gutters, pine needles on the driveway, pine needles on the side, pine needles on the top of the cement block wall as well. Okay, so in light of all that, the trees can be maintained by clipping off 4 to 6 snips. That was done according to the YouTube that I visualized back 30 years ago. And then they are so strong, these trees, that they can form a single leader. So I guess my question would be, why weren't these done many, many years ago instead of forming barriers between walls and a tree, which has done nothing to help the situation next to my mother's house at 3462 Wimbledon Way. They will grow natural. I mean, that's how the fibers grow. As I say, I've been researching this, and this tree does not look, it has many, many leaders, as they state in the YouTube presentation. So I would appreciate if someone would address all the research I have done. I appreciate, Laura and Mr. Ryan, your expertise, but first of all, we're not very happy with Mr. Ortez because he hasn't followed up, and all he does is keep telling us that he hasn't received anything from us. And then he keeps telling me to send all the information to him, and then he'll call back and say, oh, no, you were supposed to send it to the commission. So consequently, then I send it all out again. And I've sent it, via certified mail, so it gets to you. So with that said, my mother would love some answers because my dad used to clean up for the parks. Now he is deceased.
Thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon, Ms. Meyer.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan, there are a couple of issues that you could address in response to the comments that were made by Ms. Miner. Specifically, the tree being maintained? It looks like through the records that there have been several work orders over the years dating back through 2013. I'm just curious as to if there's some inaccuracies here.
So the tree has been maintained on a regular schedule as part of our contract with West Coast Arborists and for ISA, the International Society of Arboricultural Standards. The trimming is only 20% of the tree at one time. So in other words, we don't take away any more than 20%. That's recently reduced even to 15% of the tree within one trimming. So the trimming is light on purpose, so as not to affect and damage the tree. With regards to the leaders that the applicant mentioned, the tree does have one central leader, so I'm not sure. I'm a little confused of what she means. I'd probably have to see the video, but it does have one central leader. The rest are limbs that are branching off from that tree.
Thank you very much. And isn't it true that at the park there are at least 3 or 4 other pines surrounding the property going behind the house and around the corner?
That is correct. There are multiple pines in that area.
Are there any comments by commissioners?
Yes, if I could speak for a second. The question I have for our city is their frustration at trying to forward information that would help me make a better decision. So I don't know if this is an emergency or whether we can delay till our January meeting so that the homeowner and her daughter who's helping her can get the information to us about their the cracks that they're claiming and some of the other items. They seem to have some frustration with the city staff, and I would hate to make a decision without seeing some of the information from the homeowner that they feel is important for us to see, and for the city staff and for Manager Ryan, for Mr. Ryan's staff to see, because it doesn't appear that happened.
Are you making that in the form of a motion?
Well, I know we haven't had any other comments, so I don't. So at the end, I certainly would be happy to make a motion, but at this point, yeah. So I'll let the other commissioners.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate your comments as always, Commissioner Dorn Parker. On this, though, I do want to note that in the staff report, just based on my review of it, there is a pretty detailed record of city staff consistently paying attention to the tree and responding to resident concerns. And, I can only speak for myself, but I definitely lean on and appreciate the expertise of our city staff. And so I would like to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
And I will second that. Are there any comments before we call roll?
I do see the hand raised again for Bruce Green. Would you like for him to speak? Even though the 3 minutes. Oh, well, yeah, let me speak. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Bruce Green, you may now speak.
I'm sorry, yes. So I didn't know if we were concluded with my request yet, or my wife over there coughing, or if you were going to give me a reason why. I mean, is there going to be a reason why my request is either being accepted or denied?
This is for the other item. Let's finish talking about this item, and then Chair, if you'd like.
Yes.
To follow up.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Green. We are addressing another issue at this time, and we can return to that shortly.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to make a substitute motion because I don't feel I have enough information. I'd like to make a substitute motion that we delay this decision and request the homeowners be provided expedited process to bring the information that they feel is missing. And then that way I will make a substitute motion that we delay this until our January meeting, which is our next meeting, and give the homeowner ample chance to provide additional evidence that they feel we need.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a substitute motion. Okay, bring out the Roberts rules here. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
I'm sorry, Chairwoman. Since I lived Robert's Rule for 32 years, I'm trying to make it easy as
So-
much as I can.
To clarify, because we just had a first and a second from Ashendorf and Vice Chair Rutherford. So we're eliminating that one and now making,
No.
No.
we're substituting. Okay.
No,
So
so
it's a,
so it's a substitute motion that you deal with now, and if
Yes.
it doesn't have a majority, then you go back to the original
That's
motion.
correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. We're gonna
All
hit
right.
it all.
Good
today.
question.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
I second the motion. I mean, yeah.
Oh, it has been moved and seconded.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
So just to clarify, we're voting on the substitute motion right now.
Correct.
All right, with all due respect, Commissioner Dorn Parker, I'm gonna vote no.
I respect you as a commissioner.
Chair Ashendorf.
No.
Motion carries 4-2 with 2 saying no, Vice Chair Rutherford and Chair Ashendorf
And just
for
to-
the substitute motion.
Yeah, for the substitute motion to return in January with a follow-up item.
Yes.
And then Chair, I think now that matter is settled, Mr. Green had a question about 9B. I know we're kind of way out of order here, but I believe he hung on the call not knowing what the full result was of the commission's decision. So do we want to restate that motion?
Yes, would you please do that for us, Ms. Patua? The motion that was
Yes.
passed.
The motion was the motion was to move forward with staff recommendation to deny the tree removal request. Vice Chair made the motion, and then Commissioner Dorn Parker seconded that motion, and it carried with a 5-1 vote.
So Mr. Green, being familiar with the process, if you have questions, you can reach out to staff or you can come back at a future meeting and request it. But as that matter has been completed under today's agenda, they would not be able to discuss it further and would move on to the next item. So if you have any
Thank you very much.
questions, please feel free to reach out to staff.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the design of playground fitness equipment at Tanninger Park. And we're back to you, Mr. Ryan.
Yes, we are. So as you mentioned, the next item before you is the presentation for the plan to replace the exercise and playground equipment, as well as the play surface at Canninger Park. The purpose of this report is to present the city's plan to replace the aging play and fitness equipment at Tanninger Park, which will include the rubberized play surface surrounding the playground. This presentation will highlight the existing conditions of the equipment at Tanninger Park, which was installed in 1990. That makes this playground our longest serving playground in the city. The presentation will show the specific design that staff has recommended, as well as presenting the 2 alternative designs that were reviewed as well. Current conditions, there's a single structure designed for 2 to 5-year-old children, as well as a set of 4 swings. The conditions of the current equipment is safe for play. However, it's certainly showing its age, as you'll see in the following slides, and the amount of use it receives on a daily basis. The slide and some of the panels are faded, have huge scratches and other wear. The paint on the support bars and climbers are wearing off from regular use. The maintenance staff has performed a significant number of repairs and replaced panels and parts along the way in order to keep this play equipment usable. I think you can see one of the biggest differences is that tunnel that's the bright red color is recently replaced by staff just to make sure that we can keep that play equipment in use. Here's a photo of the two sets of swings, a set of 4 belt swings and a set of 2 bucket swings. If you look closely, you can see some of the paint that's wearing off the supports. Again, we replaced the belts belt swings as needed, and the bucket swings as needed as part of our regular maintenance. There's some photos of the slide, and you can see the faded colors and the scratches in that. You also note the difference in the colors between the newly replaced piece and the existing piece. Here's some photos of the paint that's wearing off and chipping. The photo of the right is a kind of a handbar. The rubberized coating is peeling away at the corner. There's also a separate fitness area with exercise equipment. The condition of the current equipment is safe for use. Again, many of the wood planks show signs of rot and termite damage. The paint on the exercise bars is wearing, and many of the bars have rust spots. Some of those are depicted in this photo. Here's a photo of the planks that are rotting and the wood's giving way, and some rust spots again on another post. Staff received 3 different designs and corresponding quotes from installation from 3 companies. All 3 companies are part of a Sourcewell, which is a competitive bidding process that ensures the city receives the best possible pricing for materials and services. All the designs meet ADA requirements and contain the required number of accessible play components. The designs were reviewed by city staff without pricing. So we looked at the designs initially before we looked at the pricing, just so that wouldn't influence our decisions. First, the design that staff is recommending. This design is from Game Time, Great Western Recreation. It features a large single play structure designed for children 2 to 12 with a large 14-foot canopy shade. The single structure offers children the opportunity to grow with the play area by offering age-appropriate features throughout. There are 3 slides, 2 of them being double slides. There are 4 climbers, a beginner climber, 2 intermediate climbers, and 1 advanced climber. There are ground level accessible features, including a chinning bar, a below deck storefront panel for imaginary games, a seat, and a drum panel, and a robin egg spinner. The play area also features several items that help the imaginative process as children play underneath tree canopies and birds that pay homage to the Birds neighborhood. This is known as the Upper Birds. All the surrounding streets have bird names. So we thought that would be a neat way to incorporate and pay homage to that fact. There's a few more pictures of the birds in the tree canopy, as well as the egg spinner, robin's egg. The playground design also has 4 swing sets, including expression seat, which is depicted the 3rd over from the right. This is the only eye-to-eye swing for parents and their children, where they can swing together and see each other face-to-face, eye-to-eye, which is a neat component. We're also upgrading the exercise equipment. We'll have over 16 fitness features in that existing space. There's another depiction of the exercise area. Moving on to the first alternative design, it's from Miracle Playground. It features a single 5-year-old to 12-year-old play structure, along with a smaller playhouse for younger children. There are 2 slides and several great climbing pieces to this design. It has a large shade canopy that covers a majority of the play equipment. There's also a swing set area with 4 swings, 2 belt swings, and 2 parent and child swings. Another depiction of the shade canopy was nice, the design was nice. Another angle. Ultimately, staff felt the overall structure was a little smaller and there was less transitional elements, and the design did not include a themed design as staff had requested. This exercise equipment, there's 7 exercise components that can accommodate up to 28 people on one time. So ready for use. Nice design, it was spread out. There's plenty of accessible components to this as well for exercise. The final reviewed design was from Landscape Structures. Features 2 separate play areas, one for children 2 to 5, another structure for children 5 to 12. The two structures were separated by a set of swings that included 4 belt swings and 1 bucket swing. There was no child parent swing in this design. The shade structure for both areas was large, which was great. However, it appeared that play elements were sacrificed in order to accommodate a larger shade structure. A few more pictures in there. This is their exercise equipment in the foreground here. A little bit of a simpler design than the other two. So we felt this design didn't offer as many play features. The shade structure again was great, but it seemed that a lot was sacrificed and left out in order to accommodate the larger shade. Note on fiscal impact, the adopted fiscal 2021-22 budget included $231,000 in capital improvement project funding for the replacement of the playground and exercise equipment. As it turns out, the game time proposal was the lowest cost of the 3 designs. The total proposed cost to install design option number 1 will be just under $187,598. This is $43,402 below the budgeted amount. That savings will be utilized to complete additional improvements within Tanninger Park, as well as fund other improvements at other parks. In conclusion, the fitness equipment, playground equipment, and rubberized surface at Tanninger Park is aging, is in need of replacement. The Game Time Western Recreation has provided a competitive quote through Sourcewell for new equipment surfacing that falls within the budgeted amount approved by City Council. Staff recommends that the Commission approve option number 1 from Game Time Great Western Recreation to replace the playground and fitness equipment and surfacing at Tanninger Park. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. To be a kid again and to start approving improvements to our parks. Thank you very much. All right. Do we have any specific questions from the commission? Yes, I see Commissioner Brown's hand up first, please.
I actually think Commissioner Dorn Parker was before me, so feel free to go.
Nope, you go.
A question, and it's a clarification, and I may have a comment, but a question. As I'm looking at this design, I'm also comparing it to the design for the other park that we will be talking about next. Is staff recommendation to approve the same design for each park, the same design of the playground, the same playground equipment?
There are two separate designs, one for Canninger Park and one for Jordan Park. Those are separate designs. They do happen to come from the same company, Game Time, but they're separate designs.
So then I'm confusing. The one that has the rocket ship is for the next park. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You were on mute, Chair Ashendorf.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Thank you. Quick question, because I noticed it came under budget, and we had the comment about pickleball. And as the commissioners are learning what a big fan I am of getting the city on board with this just incredible opportunity for recreation with pickleball, and we don't have enough space. Is there an opportunity to combine sort of this set aside, and what would the next steps be for staff that they would engage in that? And I know nothing about how to set up pickleball, I need to tell you, and I don't know how to redirect space that's been designed initially as basketball courts. I know how much the community is very creative in turning physical spaces into opportunities.
Yes, there currently is some funding in our building mod projects for converting the basketball courts at Tanninger Park to pickleball courts. So we're still in the initial design phase, but that is part of the plan.
Thank you.
And that would require that the plan would be whatever we decide to do with that space would likely come before the commission so that the community would have a chance to weigh in. So we have gotten some support for things like pickleball. We have gotten requests for other activities. So we would engage that neighborhood and the community to a future commission meeting.
Thank you for clarifying. I'm not, I would never ask another community to engage in something I love unless it's the community's idea. I know how incredibly popular pickleball is, and we have just no spaces for that right now.
Thank you, Commissioner. I did have a question, Mr. Ryan. It was mentioned by Mr. Erickson, the issue of signage at a park for public input. Is that something we normally do so that the community knows this is going to be coming before the commission?
So we did send notices out to all residents within 500 feet of the park. But I think the posting is definitely something to consider.
Thank you very much.
Ashendorf, just want to point out, we also did extensive social media outreach on this one. There were next door posts and through other media that we did notify interested people on this one.
Good to hear.
Park.
Thank you. All right, not seeing any other hands. Are there members of the public who wish to address the commission at this time, Ms. Patua?
I do see one hand raised. Derek, you may now speak.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good. My name is Derek Weisbender. I've lived near Tanninger Park for about 5 years. My children play there 3 or 4 times a week, so I spent a lot of time there. I spent a lot of time watching them play and other children play and how they use the playground. Frankly, I was surprised to get the notice that the city's considering replacing the playground equipment. I didn't see any of the social media outreach or other notices, but in any event, parts of the playground equipment have clearly been replaced or repaired over the years, but it's actually in really good condition. I can't remember ever being there and thinking, man, this thing is way too worn or way too old or way too outdated, or those colors are way too faded. I've never seen a child's ability to play on the playground impaired by the condition of the equipment. And it may sound corny, but frankly, it's just charming the way that it is. It goes with the character of the park. A major item missing from the proposal, and you could see it in some of the photos you looked at, much of the current playground area is sand that the children play with almost as much as they do with the playground equipment. All that sand from the pictures that I see will be replaced with rubber surfacing, which is not something you can pick up and play with. And that means a whole lot of empty, non-functional play space. You don't need the rubber surface area to play on when you've got acres of grass around you. What the kids love is playing with the sand on the playground and on the swings. It's all part of it. Notably, there's also currently 4 large child swings and 2 small. So the 6 swings are reduced to 4. And I think that's significant because the children do use the swings. The eye-to-eye swing that's proposed looks pretty cool, but I would bet you could install that on the existing structure. Essentially the playground structure, it's in good shape and it suits the use. I've gone down the slide myself a whole bunch of times, never had an issue with it. I go down it probably once a week, go through that little orange tube that you all saw, and I actually fit, I can get through it. But this seems like an unnecessary expense, and it would result in the loss of some swings and all that sand play area that's, I think, significant. Discoloration and peeled paint is a real concern. I'm sure the cost to repair that is far less than the wholesale replacement proposed here. And I bet that if you were to poll the neighborhood and ask them what should we do with a couple $100,000 at Tanninger, they would say take some of that money and replace the giant tree that was taken out within the last couple of years that was on the border of the playground there, is the northeast corner. It's gone now, but it served as a de facto natural playground that the kids love to play on. They hop off the swing, go play on that, go play on the, with the sand, go play on the playground equipment, and then, start over again. So that's all. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Derek, for representing the Tanninger community. Are there comments now? Anyone else wishing to speak in the public? Laura, Ms. Fatua?
I see no other hands raised, Chair Ashendorf.
Thank you very much. Then we'll Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Chairperson Ashendorf. Listening to this, I have to wonder if maybe we want to consider pushing this to a January meeting. It sounds, I've now heard from 2 members who use the park who say that they didn't know that this was going to be on the agenda. So it makes me wonder is, should we perhaps pursue having more input? But I also, hearing Derek's comments, I am, as a parent, I'm very aware of what it means to replace something that is working well. Unnecessarily, as I'm thinking about how do we not just spend money, but put materials into our world that may not be necessary. And so that is planning for the future. And so I have to wonder if maybe before we do that for that community, we should do another check-in with them. I'm compelled by the sand argument as well, that if this is something that the kids are using and that we can continue to support, if that is something we can continue to support, I wouldn't want to remove that. So just some thoughts.
Sure, Ashendorf, can I make a few comments in regards to?
Yes, please.
So just a couple of things. The sand will remain in place. That's not part of the plan. The sand removal is not part of the plan. The rubberized surface will be replaced. There will be rubberized surface, but the sand will remain. The second part is the conditions of the playground. And I take it as a compliment that the 2 comments have been in favor of the existing playground, and it speaks well of our staff. However, continually replacing those parts does require a lot of maintenance and a lot of staff time and a lot of cost that needs to be considered as well. It's not without cost to keep that maintained and to keep the parts replaced, and to order parts that are actually quite expensive. And lastly, with regards to moving this to the January meeting, the Commission should be aware that there will be another increase in material pricing come January. Since we started this design process, I want to say in early this year, there's been 3 price increases already. So delaying this project, we could incur additional cost increase, which should be considered, and may put both projects out of reach.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Ryan, for a great presentation. Just to follow up on Commissioner Brown's comments, could you maybe point out, just so we're clear about it, where the sand will remain and where the rubberized surface will be replaced in the design?
Let me see if I can bring it back up. Bear with me 1 second while I want to see if I can find a good overview, but the only, if I can share this portion. So the only portion that's going to be rubberized surface is the green area that's beneath the structure. The rest of the tan color, it looks like rubberized surface, but it is not. That's actually sand. I guess, in a depiction, it's kind of hard to draw sand particles, but that tan color is in fact the sand that will remain in place. This out here is grass, the existing turf area that's green. So again, just the rubberized surface. Here's another picture. So all this tan area is the existing sand that will remain in place for the children to continue to use.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan. I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure that we got Derek's concerns addressed. Appreciated his comments as well. I know this has been an iterative process going forward. We talked about this months ago when the capital improvements budget was going forward, and the council discussed it at that point too. So it was the city council direction on funding that influences where we are today. But I do want to acknowledge the effort of staff to keep it under budget and potentially free up funds for other opportunities in the space. I'm personally really a fan of the design proposed, especially with the attention to making lots of opportunities for our young ones. I did want to specifically ask Director Mentor with the potential extra funds, and then just raise awareness for everybody else on the commission and in the public. We are really fortunate in Costa Mesa to have a pickleball industry expert who lives in Mesa Verde, Ronnie Nemchok. I know you've had the opportunities to speak with him, Jason, not to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if his expertise and the heavy community interest that was referenced in public testimony, and that can be seen really clearly on the court there, as while the Parks and Community Services Department is there in Tanninger Park doing that work to the playground, it seems like it would maybe be a missed opportunity not to also look at pickleball there, since the community is obviously using that space for that. So I was wondering if you could speak to that.
We have multiple potential pickleball opportunities that we're exploring. Yes, I did meet with Mr. Nemchuk, and yourself. I did follow up with them on a couple other questions when we were exploring possibilities, but those aren't on the agenda for tonight. When you talk about potential funding opportunities, any savings could go to other projects. That's all part of the CIP, and then I'd have to defer to Raja on what the funding impacts would be. Right now, we're looking at what's the appropriate space, or more than one appropriate space, appropriate court size, configuration of courts. There's a lot of things that are going to be brought forward at a future agenda. So we really shouldn't be getting too much into pickleball as a topic of conversation. The item that's agendized is the approval of playground equipment for Tanninger. But yes, there's a lot of opportunities. We've kind of hinted to some of those opportunities to the mayor and council that I know they're super supportive of, but we're not at the point where we are ready to discuss those in a public forum.
Okay, thank you for speaking to that, Director Mentor. I just wanted to address that point in response to the public testimony that we received. And I appreciate that's on your radar moving forward.
They will come before you shortly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation. I think a lot of great work has gone into this project so far, and I think it would be prudent to move forward with it.
And I'll second that. And I also know the staff has been very digging deep into how ADA access works, how different abilities are now need to be considered as we redesign these. And I can tell that was very much part of this. So I'm very impressed with the staff looking at a lot of different areas. And I hope the commissioner from that area, which I think is Commissioner Glab, concurs. So I will make a second.
All right, then it's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments before we call for the roll?
If there are any comments, please raise your hand.
All right, then.
See no hands raised.
Thank you. Then it's been moved and seconded. Would you please call the roll, Ms. Fatua?
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Glab?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford?
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you, staff, Mr. Ryan, for such great work. We're really excited about seeing some more birds in Tanninger Park and the equipment. All right, the next item on new business. The design of playground equipment and surface replacement at Jordan Park.
There we go. That's going to be the saying for quite a while as you're on mute. This is my final presentation for this evening. It's the presentation of the plan to replace playground equipment surfacing at Jordan Park. Again, the purpose of this report is to present the city's plan to replace the aging playground equipment at Jordan Park. It'll include the rubberized play surface surrounding the playground as well.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan. You have
Oh,
Tanninger Park still up there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It starts me over. I did these as in concurrence and it just started me over. Thank you for pointing that out.
On my screen, Rob, it looks like it was cut off when you get into the slides. So I don't know if other people see that or if it's the configuration of monitors, but.
Does it still look like it's cut off?
This one looks fine.
Oh, this looks fine.
This is fine.
Cut off.
Okay. Okay. It cut me off because I was on the wrong presentation.
Go to the next slide though, real quick. Okay, that to me, the left side is cut out. Is that what the commissioners see?
No, this one is good for me.
Okay.
This is a full screen.
Could be my monitor.
It's the sideburns are getting in the way. So again, the purpose of this report is to present the city's plan to replace the aging and playground equipment at Jordan Park. It'll include the rubberized play surface surrounding the playground. Again, this presentation will highlight the existing conditions of the equipment at Jordan Park, which were installed in 1995. This makes it tied with a few other playgrounds for second longest serving playground in the city. Presentation will show the specific design that staff has recommended, as well as presenting the two other alternative designs that were reviewed as well. Current conditions, there are two structures, one designed for 2 to 5-year-old children and a separate structure for 5 to 12-year-old children. The condition of the current equipment is safe for play. However, much like Tanninger Park, it's showing its age and the amount of use it receives on a regular basis. It's important to mention that as the play equipment ages, as I mentioned before, it does cost more to maintain and a lot more staff time that goes into maintaining the aging equipment. The paint on the supports and bars and climbers have signs of extreme wear. Many spots are bare metal. The slide, many of the panels are extremely faded and have deep scratches, as you'll see in the following slides. Here's an example of the climber with both rails. The paint is wearing. Some of the decking, you can see the decking and some of the connections to the railing there show signs of rust and wear. Again, here's a photo of the slide, which is extremely faded. And the poor rocking horse that needs a little love and some paint. Again, some of the climbing pieces that are faded. You can see some of the rust on, again, some of the decking of the play structure. The swing set, the current swing set has 2 belt swings and 2 bucket swings. It's not in terrible shape, but again, these do require a replacement. The chains, the hinges, the swinging mechanisms all require maintenance, constant maintenance and replacing in order to keep them active. Staff received 3 different designs and corresponding quotes for installation from 3 companies. All 3 companies are part of Sourcewell again, which is a competitive bidding process that ensures the city receives the best possible pricing from the materials and the services. All of the designs meet ADA requirements and contain the required number of accessible play components. They actually, all 3 designs exceed the required number of components, which is great to see. The designs, again, were reviewed by staff without pricing. The first design the staff is recommending, this design, again, from Game Time Great Western Recreation. The design features 2 separate play areas, one designed for children's 2 to 5 and another designed for children 5 to 12. Structure focus on sensory and explorative play with a science and space theme. I recently had the privilege of speaking with the general manager of the Boys and Girls Club. Shares a space with Jordan Park, and she really appreciated the idea of the science-based design, as science is a big part of their theme and their program right now. The 2 to 5-year-old play equipment is an age-appropriate play system. Once again, promotes gradual levels of climbing and experiences. It has a hex shade and 2 shadow play roofs, the 2 kind of butterfly multicolored play roofs that cast shadows down on the ground that are colorful and neat for the kids to play with. Another depiction of it. It has a nice covering shade. Nice climbing elements and a double slide. The 5 to 12 play area is an ionic structure, kind of ions that are kind of going around there. It serves as a piece of functional art, and again ties in with the science-based theme of our neighbors at the Boys and Girls Club. The tall butterfly shadow play tower will serve as a nice landmark for the community for years to come. System's also linked to a large spaceship climber with multiple paths to climb. The swing set includes 2 belt swings and 2 expression swings that were included in the Tanninger design. The next design is from Miracle Playground. It features a single 5 to 12 play structure along with a smaller playhouse for younger children. There's a single slide. There's a lot of climbing elements to this, a couple of smaller shade canopies. There's also a swing set area with 4 swings, has 2 belt swings and 2 parent-child swings. There's an overall view of the design. Ultimately, staff felt that this area would be better served with 2 separate structures, given the fact it's next door to the Boys and Girls Club and a adjacent school. There's also concern with a portion of the play element that the staff has had previous issues with maintenance and at other parks within the city. The overall design was appealing, but did not include a theme. The rocket ship and science theme was really appropriate. The third and final design, again, was for landscape structures. It does feature 2 separate play areas. Again, one for children 2 to 5 and another structure for children 5 to 12. The design included a swing set with 2 belt swings and 1 bucket swing. There was no parent-child swings included in this design. Again, landscape structures submitted 1 photo, so I don't have multiple angles of this, but this was the only design photo. Again, the shade structure for both areas is large, which is great, appreciated. However, it appears again that the play elements were sacrificed in the design in order to accommodate the play structure. Leave that up for just a few more seconds to give every time 1 picture. So again, the adopted fiscal budget for 2021-22 included $175,000 in capital improvement project funding for the replacement of the playground and exercise equipment at Jordan Park. The total proposed cost is all design option number 1 will be just under $190,960, which is $15,960 above the budgeted amount. The additional monies needed to complete this project will come from the savings from the Tanninger Park Playground project, which will still allow other monies to be used at Tanninger Park and in other parks as well. In conclusion, the playground equipment and rubberized surfacing at Jordan Park is aging and is in need of replacement. Game Time Great Western Recreation has provided a competitive quote through Sourcewell for new equipment surfacing. Falls well with, it's a little outside the budgeted amount, but with the adjustments, it can be accommodated in this year's budget. Staff recommends that the commission approve option number 1 from Game Time Great Western Recreation to replace the playground and surfacing at Jordan Park. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ryan. Could you answer a question on play structure number 3? Because given the neighborhood and I know the times that I'm in that area, I see a lot of young families there, moms with the strollers coming through Jordan Park in particular. I know you have the Boys and Girls Club as well, but how do you feel that structure addresses the very young children?
We felt it was adequate for the young children. We would have liked to have seen a little bit more probably for the bigger kids in terms of different types of play and slides. We felt that, ultimately felt that the first one from Game Time offered more for both ages.
Any other questions of Mr. Ryan before we open? Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Just a comment. I had my 10-year-old daughter review the designs before joining today. She really appreciated design number 1. She strongly supports staff recommendation. So it was just, as I was watching her, she was looking through the designs and she lit up as that one was on the screen. So just sharing that as a mom, I suppose.
We'll have her on the panel next time around.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
So that is my neighborhood park. My kids were, I think, 10 and 7 when this new equipment came in, and they're in their 30s now. I can tell you that park is multi-layered use. It's the Boys and Girls Club, but it's after school care. It backs right up to Kaiser. It's a field that's used for soccer and baseball for AYSO and NHBA. I so appreciate the staff agreeing to do two different structures, in that you have a lot of very, very young kids who use the equipment right now. And then you have all the big kids who come from school or from after school care from the Boys and Girls Club. So I need to let you all know, I am most impressed and very thoughtful, and it really fits with the use that the neighborhood has. 7 days a week from sun up to sundown. So thank you, staff. I can tell you the neighborhood is going to be thrilled that this new, because I can tell you how excited we were when the new equipment went in before.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorn Parker. Seeing no other hands, Ms. Patua, do we have members of the public wishing to address the commission?
I see no hands raised, Chair. If there are any members who wish to speak, please raise your hand. I do see one now. Barbara, you may now speak.
Hello, Barbara. Please unmute yourself.
I unmute. Hi. I also live in the area, and I know Commissioner Parker from way back. So yes, that park is very well used by all different ages, as you pointed out. And I just had one question. It doesn't have a drinking fountain, and I was wondering if that's common with the parks in Costa Mesa. I have seen drinking fountains at other parks, and I was just wondering if there's any chance that something like that could be included in the project.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any other comments, Ms. Patua?
I see no other hands raised.
All right, then we'll close comment, and perhaps Mr. Ryan or Director Minter can address the issue with water fountains at our parks.
It would not be included in this project. A lot of our parks do have drinking fountains, and we are looking at adding additional drinking fountains in the future.
Thank you. Right. Any other? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, is there a motion?
That's where we're headed.
I will go ahead and make the motion that we approve the staff recommendation for option 1 for Jordan Park.
Is there a second?
Sorry, I second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other comments before we call for the vote?
Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Dorn Parker, for making the motion. I just wanted to second what's been said. I think it's a wonderful design feature for the 2 to 5-year-old range. So I appreciate city staff attention to that.
Thank you. And I'm hoping, seeing the butterfly, that there might be a theme in the future where we could have a butterfly park feature added to Jordan Park, but we'll save that for another time.
Maybe we can work with our partners at the Boys and Girls Club and see if they want to plant a butterfly garden.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
I'll walk over there and ask.
All right. All right. Would you call for the question then, Ms. Fatua?
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Glab?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford?
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 to approve option 1.
Thank you very much. And don't go too far, Mr. Ryan, but we do really appreciate all of your time this evening helping us through these many items. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, the next item under new business is the donation of a concrete pad at the Mesa Verde Library.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Ashendorf. For our change of pace, it'll be me, Sung Yang, City Engineer. So I'll just give a break to Mr. Ryan here. He did a great job, so I'll be just taking the torch on this one. So permit me, let me share my screen. So I'm assuming everyone can see that. And that's the front facade of Mesa Verde Library. So I just want to address Chairperson Ashendorf and our honorable members of the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission. Good afternoon. My name is Sung Yang, your City Engineer for the Public Services Department. So just some background. The Friends of the Costa Mesa Libraries, or FOCML, or just Friends for short, was founded in 1959 in response to the need for a second library in the city. Its main goals include encouraging community use and awareness of the libraries, sponsoring community cultural programs, creating public support, expand library programs. The Friends continues its commitment to provide community outreach, promote literacy, and to advance knowledge to the Costa Mesa community of all ages. The Friends has in the past supported improvements at the Mesa Verde Library located at the corner of Baker Street and Mesa Verde Drive East, with the recent being the donation of the outdoor musical instrument equipment, which was approved by the commission during its regularly scheduled meeting on March 28, 2019. Mr. Bob Uten, who's a past president of the Friends, approached the Public Services Department during the early part of 2021 to present a proposal to install a concrete pad in the patio area of the Mesa Verde Library, along with shade awnings. However, the scope was later reduced to install only the concrete pad in order to utilize the open space to its fullest capacity. Currently, the existing patio area has a smaller concrete pad footprint that is inadequate for any significant use. The area around the existing pad is now overgrown with vegetation and weeds, and the Friends seeks to enlarge the concrete pad to beautify the location in order to conduct more library events, especially during the summer. Included in this report are the floor plan for the Mesa Verde Library with the layout of the patio area at the library and layout of the proposed concrete pad. Upon installation by a qualified licensed contractor, concrete pad will be open for use by staff at the Orange County Public Libraries. So let me unshare my screen and show you some photos. Let's see here. So as you can see, this is the patio area of the Mesa Verde Library. And as you can see, there's a small concrete pad here, and it's overgrown with some weeds and other kind of vegetation. So the goal is to encompass all the concrete within this area of the patio. And this is the other side of the patio on the other corner. So basically the concrete pad will encompass this area where you see the curb to the extent of the wall. And here's another view of it. And this is the side view of the area, which will lead to the opening to the gate and which will be connected to all sides of the corners of the building, as well as to the reach of the wall. So in continuation, there is no cost to the city for the concrete pad as it is being donated by the Friends. The cost estimate is included in your staff report package. Therefore, staff recommends that the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission approve the installation of this concrete pad in front of the patio area of the Mesa Verde Library with funding provided by the Friends. For the record, we received public comment from Mr. Andy Campbell regarding the drainage for the concrete pad. His suggestion to incorporate a weed pole at the corner of the pad will be incorporated for this project. Thank you very much, and I'm open to any questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Are there any specific questions for Mr. Yang at this time? Seeing none, Ms. Fatua, do we have members of the public who wish to speak?
I'll be taking that duty temporarily.
Right.
I don't see, I thought I saw a hand raised, but then it looked like it went down. So any members of the public wishing to speak on the matter? I believe we have Mr. Uten and Ms. Stapleton, both from the Friends on the call. Mr. Uten, your hand goes up and then comes down. Would you like to speak on today's item? Shoot, she did not make me a host.
Oh, so sorry. I'm back. There are any members of the public who wish to speak?
His hand, Mr. Uten's hand has gone up and then gone down. I'm not sure if he wants to speak or not.
All right.
There he is. There he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mr. Uten, go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. You know, the Friends of the Library has long supported improvements in the library system. We began to work with city staff, and I very much appreciate you know, the city staff's help in this endeavor. The patio, the concrete pad was conceived by the branch librarian Vivian Strabala because the library cannot always accommodate the programs that the librarians would like to put on in that library. So many times the adult programs are have to be in the children's area, which sometimes is inappropriate. And there's lots and lots of children's programs. Putting this concrete pad in will provide stroller parking for when they have children's programs. It'll provide a separate area for the adult programs and or any other programs that the librarians want to do. It also can be potentially used for internet access. Cars park around in the parking area and sometimes on the benches, and they can actually access and OCPL allows them to access their internet. So, you know, this would be an ADA approved pad, properly drained. We've contacted a contractor, and I think that estimate is in your board package. We think this would be an improvement for the librarians, and they're very excited about it. I forget whether, I think it was their idea to begin with. This is a pilot project. We potentially someday will want to do a second patio area. We also, after the concrete pad is installed, if you approve, need to consider some sort of shade structure, potentially, and that may be pop-ups initially, or potentially a full-blown shade area, shade structure for this area. Appreciate you letting me talk. I think this is a great project. It's budgeted presently by the Friends, and will be fully paid for by the Friends. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, Mr. Uten. Is there anyone else, Ms. Fatua?
No.
All right, then we'll close comments. And, you know, that's my neighborhood library. I've been going there for 20 years, and I've seen kids, their children's programs on the front lawn. They do drum circle out front, and they bring strollers and they just plop down, and it's not as safe as this will be. And I have to say, so many nonprofits or organizations say, well, this can't be done and this can't be done. But I have to say, the Friends of the Library always find ways to get things done. This is just another fine example. So I would really like to move staff recommendation to adopt their donation.
I will second your motion.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Fatua.
Oh, no, go for it, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Oh, I see your hand is yellow back there. Thank you, Vice Chair. Please.
No, I just put it up. I'm going to support your motion fully. I just want to make a brief comment on this item, and for the next one, just make one comment because I think this is an awesome proposal, and kudos and credit go to Friends of the Library and Mr. Un for pushing the envelope on this kind of initiative. Bringing in private funds to help improve our public space, because sometimes there's not always enough public funds due to constraints and other things outside of our control. So I just wanted to pose this question to staff in response to this, and also in recognizing the path that's been charted by this wonderful organization, as our chairwoman alluded to. Is this a model that we can create maybe as a more formal process so that community organizations and the Friends of the Libraries, when we're looking at in the future, when they're looking at potentially contributing to invest in our public space, that there can be a very predictable and set process for them moving forward? And maybe that, that predictability can also extend on staff side. So you all know what to expect and things don't come out of nowhere, so to speak. So I just wanted to pose that question. I know it's a little bit open-ended, but, I'm just alluding to if it would be possible to kind of formalize this and create a process so that, this group and other groups going forward, we can see more of this kind of contribution to our public space.
Yes, Vice Chair Rutherford, you make a very good point. This is one of the programs that we find is a very positive light in terms of the libraries and also the recreational facilities throughout the city. Our staff has worked closely with the Friends of the Library and with Mr. Uten and his parties as well. And this is something that the city can take pride in, and this is something that we look forward in terms of having this cooperative relationship with the Friends. And we, in terms of something set in place as some kind of a permanent program to do so, there is not one currently, but in terms of indirectly, this is something that we do actively engage with the Friends in creating these projects, as we have done in the past.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yang. I appreciate your response to that. Yeah, maybe it's just something to think about moving forward. I'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rutherford. And I might add one thing. I invite all of you to come to our little Mesa Verde Library. One of the things that wasn't really shown on the picture today is if you're in the children's library, there are sliding glass doors. So this will open up and the concrete will be level. So it'll be safe and accessible, and you won't always have to go around the front of the building. So it's really going to be a major improvement for minor work. So thank you. And with that, we'll call for the question.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
Commissioner Glab.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to new business item F, the donation of outdoor musical instruments at the Duncan Library. Director Minter?
Thank you very much. What I'm going to ask you to do is go back in time about 10 minutes and listen to the wonderful presentation that Mr. Yang made about the Friends and their contributions to the city. So just remember how wonderful he did, and I won't have to repeat that. This request is from the Friends also to donate funding towards the purchase of musical instruments, much like was seen in the picture of the Mesa Verde Library, to be installed at the Lions Park, somewhere near the Donald Dungan Library. So we have yet to officially agree on the actual location of the proposed equipment, but we wanted to facilitate the Friends' request to continue fundraising and know that they had the city's blessing in doing so. One, to hold pricing, and two, just to further amplify their fundraising efforts by putting it out there in the mainstream. So this particular project was brought before the commission 3 years ago, I believe, in 2018 for the Mesa Verde installation. There was a supplemental for this item from the branch manager of the Mesa Verde Library. We had a brief discussion about the impact of the playground equipment on, or the musical equipment on people coming in and out of the library, and that was what her comments were regards to. So thanks to Mr. Uden for getting that information from the branch manager. The reason why it's redacted is more to because it wasn't addressed to the commission. It was just addressed to me. We wanted to include it so you could see the comments, but without her sending it directly to the commission, we just needed to redact it for that reason. So, in case you had questions, so the report kind of spells out what they're looking to do. The cost is quite expensive, $30,000 to $32,000. Staff will continue to explore possibilities. We want to get it close to the Dungan Library without hopefully getting rid of some of the newly planted landscaping. There's also some subterranean issues that we have to be mindful of, storm drains and utilities. So that's kind of why we're having a difficulty honing in on the exact right spot, but we'll keep working on that while the Friends continue their fundraising efforts. Included in the packet is what their original proposed location was. We had a few safety concerns with that location in addition to the landscaping. So we just wanted to include it in the packet because it was something that was submitted from the Friends. With that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. And then Ms. Stapleton, I see her hand raised. She's the one I've been working with most recently on this. I believe she'd like to say a few things, but I will turn it over back to you, Chairperson, to see where you'd like to go next.
Thank you very much, Director Minter. Are there any specific questions of the director before we, oh yes, Commissioner Brown.
Well, first, I just want to thank you all. I really appreciate it when art in public spaces is usable, that there's some kind of interaction. So kinetic sculpture, in the case of this, engagement with instruments. My question is a technical one that I just don't I wouldn't know how to answer. How do these wear over time? I'm just curious.
I don't know that we've had enough time to evaluate the one at the Mesa Verde Library. However, I associate these types of equipment with play panels that exist at other playgrounds. So, you know, they're not exactly the same, but they're typically made out of the same material. Most playground equipment has a 20 to 30 year lifespan. I'd anticipate this equipment has kind of the same thing, other than maybe if there's a cord here or there that might need to be replaced, or, you know, obviously vandalism or anything like that that we hope never happens. But there is quite an unexpected lifetime for them. But you know, I don't have enough personal experience with that. I don't know if Mr. Ryan has anything else to add on, you know, in terms of playground equipment, but.
I don't. I would agree with your assessment that most of the materials that we used at the Mesa Verde Library were of the same quality as regular playground equipment. I would imagine we get the same use. There's maybe a few more sensitive parts that you use for the xylophone, and they're attached with cords that may wear a little bit more over time. But I would agree with that lifespan.
Some of this equipment is provided by other manufacturers of playground equipment. It's very similar in nature. I know this is a little bit more specialized than just a plastic drum or anything like that. So it's a slightly higher level, hence the more expensive price tag. But it is very much along the lines of playground equipment. Unless, you know, and I would encourage you to listen to Ms. Stapleton. She's the one that brought this to the Friends a few years ago. So, you know, off of another playground she had visited that had something very similar. So we can turn it over to her if you'd like.
Thank you, Director Minter. Ms. Fatua, is Ms. Stapleton still there?
She is. Would you like for
Yes,
her
please. Yes, please.
You may now speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Unmute yourself, Ms. Stapleton.
We did hear you, and you look to be unmuted, so go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hallelujah. Okay, I'm Donna Stapleton, and I'm the current president of the Friends of the Costa Mesa Libraries. And before I start talking, I want to say I live in the Tanninger Park neighborhood, and I am just thrilled with the new playground equipment for Tanninger Park. So now, it's the goal of the Friends to purchase 6 outdoor musical instruments to be installed near the Donald Dungan Library. In 2009, the Friends raised almost $20,000 and purchased this, and the city installed 4 outdoor musical instruments at the Mesa Verde Library. These instruments will create a maker space for musicians and non-musicians, young, old, and everything in between, for people with special needs to easily co-create and improvise musical experience. They are both aurally and visually pleasing, and the design of these instruments will complement the contemporary architecture of the library. They will be available daily and year-round. Playing music in a library or park setting will be a community building opportunity that encourages creativity, self-confidence, stress relief, curiosity, and joy. Research show that music makes people healthier and happier. It will also draw people to Lions Park and to the Dungan Library. The instruments are durable and low maintenance and have been installed in all climates throughout the US and the world, and at our own Mesa Verde Library. They are finely tuned with carefully chosen notes that invite easy improvisation with little musical skill and no wrong notes. Once installed, the Friends of the Library will schedule a dedication and celebration, introducing the musical possibilities of the instruments. The installation will provide a rich setting for continued programs planned jointly with the city, the librarians, the Friends, and hopefully schools as well. The total cost is just over $30,000. We have raised to date $28,434 through community donations and grants. If it is approved tonight, we can finish our funding campaign with other members of the community and Costa Mesa businesses. Also, the Friends would very much like to order these instruments before November 8th, when the company, Free Notes Harmony Park, their prices will raise 7.5%. Thank you, Director Minter, for all your help with this project and getting this up to the commission.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stapleton. Glad to have you here this evening. Are there any more comments by the commission? All right. Seeing none, I once again invite you to come to the Mesa Verde Library and play on the musical instruments that have been provided by the generosity of the Friends. During the pandemic, that was a gathering space for moms and little ones and dads. It was fun to see them interacting with the musical instruments. And to the best of my knowledge, we haven't had any damage or vandalism to the equipment thus far. So I'd like to move staff recommendation to approve the donation of the outdoor musical instrument equipment at the Donald Duncan Library.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Glab. Any other comments? All right, seeing none. I'm sorry.
We will bring an update once we identify a location. We'll bring it back to the commission just as an informal update.
Perfect. Thank you, Director Minton. Then we'll call for the question, Ms. Fatua.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. The final item on new business is the commission request for ride-alongs with the Costa Mesa Park Rangers. Director Minter.
Thank you very much. At the request of the commission, reached out to Lieutenant Brian Watkins of the Costa Mesa Police Department and tried to reestablish a schedule so that commissioners could once again do ride-alongs. The attached schedule has a wrong date. For some reason, I think that it's 3 or 4 days between Friday and Saturday in December and November. So please excuse the typos on week 6. The rest of them I think are good. Laura has put up on the screen the schedule. So chairperson, if you want to go through the list of commissioners based on seniority or alphabetical or however you choose, we can fill people in. Please keep in mind that it's only the Friday at 8 to 10 or Friday 12 to 2 or Saturday 12 to 2 each week. So it's not one of each. So there's 6 of you now. Hopefully these 6 spots will accommodate you. If there is a week that nobody can attend, we can push it back into December or potentially January if necessary. You also have the option, if you're not interested, you can opt out. No harm, no hurt feelings. But this is again in response to the commission's request to do more ride-alongs with the park rangers.
Thank you, Director Minter. I think we can handle this rather quickly if we start with District 1. Commissioner Glab, are you ready to fill in a spot or pass? I caught you off guard.
Yeah. I was looking at some. I might have to pass for now because I'll be in wrestling season. Wrestling season starts next week, and it looks like a lot of it isn't going to match up with my schedule.
That's fine. We'll have some spots open for you, I'm sure. All right, then we'll move to Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Mentor and Ms. Fatua for making this available. I already had this opportunity in 2019, and I'm very grateful to city staff for it. So I'll defer to the other commissioners so they can have first pick.
Perfect. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta?
I will take you on for the first Saturday.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I am looking at Friday, December 17th. I think so if it was the 2 o'clock, it'd be 2 to, I should probably take the 8 a.m. 8 a.m. on the 17th, please.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Lori, remember when you were telling me that I oopsed on that? It's the correct dates are the 19th, right? It's Friday.
I will confirm. It's going to be the Friday right before. Give me one moment. I thought I made the adjustment already. Let's see. It is December 17th.
17th. So the Saturday would be the 18th of December on that one.
Correct.
So, very good. Thank you.
All right. That's all right with you, Commissioner Brown?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Oh, thank you. I'll take the second week if I could do this Saturday. That would be great. Saturday, November 20th.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We're circling back to you, Commissioner Vice Chair Rutherford.
I'm still going to pass at this time.
All right. Well, I've had the ride along 2 years ago, and so I'm anxious to do it again. So would you please sign me up for the first Friday, the December 16th at noon?
So for we only can select one for each week. So the only remaining are week 3 to 5.
All right, then sign me up for, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. The 27th.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And then
Saturday, right? Saturday, the 27th.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then Mr. Commissioner Glab, if your schedule opens up or you'd like to reschedule something, we'll certainly try to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Laura, for assisting with that. And yes, we're happy to get you on your ride along during non-wrestling season, sir.
All right.
Dr. Mentor.
And then
Mr. Andrade, I think you're non-muted. Okay.
And then Vice Chair Rutherford, you said you were deferring, so I will place you as not interested at this time.
Yeah, I've already had the experience, and I do know several of the park rangers as well.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Fatua. Okay, we'll move along to monthly reports. Director Mentor.
Thank you very much. The park ranger report is there for your review. Just a note, there was a supplemental information that was received from a member of the public, Mr. David Martinez, that was included as an attachment to the agenda. That's just for the record. The update that I wanted to share, it's more of a verbal update, was, the park rangers had been requested to do additional patrols, especially on the east side. We talked about Harper Park. They haven't been able to get out there as often as they wanted to, but they have been increasing patrols on the east side, looking for dog off leash particular issues. To my understanding, there have been some citations at this point, but they occurred during the month of October. And unfortunately, we don't have that report yet, but we will have it for you it will stack up in October, November, and December, probably at the January meeting. So we have gotten some confirmation that citations have been issued and they're able to do that. Part of it is the scheduling with the limited rangers that they had, is those evening hours made it difficult to have someone there the whole time, but they are increasing both their education and stepping up some enforcement there to help hopefully handle those issues. I know they were mentioned by a member of the public earlier tonight in the meeting. It is something that, we as staff continue to monitor. I know the public is aware of, and, we do the best we can to keep the police department in the loop through the park rangers as well. And with that, I will try to answer any questions that I have. I know there were some concerns raised earlier about bikes and e-bikes and that. I think first things first, we want to defer to the Bikeway Walkability Committee because this is more in their wheelhouse than PACS. But any issues that do come up in parks, as you are Parks and Community Services Commissioners, you definitely share them with us and we forward them to the appropriate parties. But we do defer to the Bikeway Walkability Committee first. And then if the City Council wants PACS to do additional review on top of whatever Bikeway is doing, then we would obviously bring that before you at a later time. That's it.
All right. Then the next item is the, Director Minter, you're still here with us. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I see Commissioner Brown's hand up. I'm sorry.
Hey, I have to comment on this because I've had an email conversation with David Martinez, who submitted some of the supplementary materials for us to consider. And David reached out, or Mr. Martinez reached out to me a couple of weeks ago to share the data that you all have seen now. And so I've been thinking on that data, which is quite compelling and gave me a lot of pause. And as somebody who lives and represents the West Side, I do think it's really important that we acknowledge the ways in which this is breaking down. So just looking at the most recent Park Ranger report, there were a total of 42 citations. 12 of those were for bike licenses. And so I recognize that I would love to support whatever the Bikeway committee would propose on this, though. Chair or Commissioner Dorn Parker, as you mentioned earlier, it might be time for those of us who want to weigh in to do that. I had to laugh because if this is correct, if the regulation was actually indeed created in 1977, that was the year I was born. And I've had to admit recently that I'm in middle age. And so I think it might be time for us to update the middle-aged kind of regulations around it. So I just wanted to express that. But in all seriousness, the data that Mr. Martinez has provided has some stark ramifications for us in terms of how this is breaking down racially and according to neighborhoods. And so the final thing I would say is really a question, which is, how can we support our park rangers around this? I have to wonder, is this bike license law being used to do something else? Is it a stand-in for something? And if it is indeed a stand-in for something, I would like to, then acknowledge that and have a conversation around it. So just that, I recognize the work of the park rangers, but I'm also concerned as somebody who represents the West Side that these are happening primarily in the West Side, and I would like to, acknowledge that.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Yes, I am echoing similar sentiments to Commissioner Brown. I understand also that this is technically not under our purview, but it is concerning that this keeps coming up. I don't know how many years in a row. I mean, again, I'm new to the commission, but it'll be great to learn more. How can we better collaborate cross-departmentally through the parks and the police to make sure that one, we could, like Commissioner Brown shared, we update this policy and really maybe until this is vetted, maybe pause on citations so that it doesn't appear, which I'm sure that is not the intent of our police force to appear that we are discriminating here, our population. And then secondly, I had a question on the camping citations. I'm assuming that these are homeless camping? And if so, I would hope that there is some sort of follow-up to that, that we're not just simply ticketing our homeless neighbors, but there is some sort of resources or connection to social services available to them in response to the challenges that they're facing.
Would you like me to?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. A few things, notes that kind of popped into my head is the commissioners were talking. We did have Lieutenant Watkins. He attended one of our earlier commission meetings and talked a little bit about the citations and maybe I would say how they're used. One of it is stolen property. Stolen property was one reason why citations were issued, and it seems to be located more around the Talbert Park and Fairview Park, that is related to homelessness. When it comes to some of those issues, yes, we have an outreach program. We have our airway shelter that we're in close communication with, from the city and the police department and a lot of different organizations to try to get homeless people, into the shelter and into permanent housing if possible. So, just because there's a citation issue doesn't mean, we're leaving them out to dry. I can't comment on all of the cases, but, I know with the shelter in place and operating, and doing wonderful things for our community and for our homeless population, it's more of a means of tracking, of trying to check in, to get people registered and to make sure that we're understanding and getting them evaluated. And some of those things come through the citation process. Now, I definitely don't want to speak for the police department, but I know, in a conversation with the police chief at a district meeting we had recently, that the police department is working on other opportunities for bike licensing to kind of create different platforms or utilize different platforms that are already in existence. But, again, I can't speak for them and the opportunities that they're exploring, but I do want to reassure the commission that, we're not sitting idle. Maybe it hasn't happened as quickly as we would have liked. If we'd like to bring, Lieutenant Watkins out, I don't have the hard data, but I don't think that the profiling that, some people seem to think is happening on the west side is necessarily the cause, but I don't have the full statistics to back that up at this point. But, I can invite the lieutenant back because maybe he can speak more to the numbers or to how the cases break down and see if they can come back at a later date. And maybe we'd schedule that at the same time where they might be giving an update on bike licensing and how that might be impacting our residents in the future. So I've heard a couple of the options. One of them, I think sounds very favorable, but it's still being worked through and vetted out through the police department. And, I think it's a positive for the community. I know when we look at the citations, on a monthly basis, there's certain things that stand out. I would love to see more dogs off leash issues at our parks, just because of all the complaints and the concerns that have been raised, at our commission and then at staff during, off times as well. But I hope that helps. But, I hate to keep saying, good things are coming when it comes to pickleball or bike licensing or anything. But, unfortunately, that is the process. It's sometimes a little laborious to make sure that we're fleshing out all the wrinkles that we need to before implementing a new strategy.
Thank you, Director Minter. Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, thank you. So we actually have been asked by the Bikeability Walkability Commission to help support this this work. And even though technically they do that, but technically a lot of recreation with bikes happen at the parks. We know, especially little kids under, that are under 8 years old, they use their bikes and they go in the parks and they use that sort of stuff. So I understand we sort of can't stay in silos necessarily, even though that technically is the Bikeability Walkability, but they have reached out to us to see if we can join with them to encourage our city council to re-examine all the bike licensing for today. And they keep pointing out, especially with the e-bikes and the danger that we see. I don't know if any other neighborhoods, oh my gosh, Eastside has so many stop signs that really is for protection, and the amount or lack of understanding of our youth who have these e-bikes at 15, 20 miles an hour blowing through stop signs is very scary. So we think this is a bigger conversation than just bikeability, walkability, and park. So I think that's why I'm asking for the January to have that, because we've been asked by the bikeability, walkability to address this and to request the city do look at this as sort of as a priority, as and to really examine how should bikes, especially if we as a city really want to encourage non-car use, which includes bikes and walking, then that has to do with recreation. So I appreciate that, Director Mentor, and trying not to overstep our responsibility, but it is very intermingled in my perspective.
Absolutely. You touch on a great point. E-bikes is definitely another one of those topics that's been heavily discussed for the safety of the public and the people riding, the ages, the licensing. Do you need a license? And the different tiers? There's 3 different tiers of e-bikes. And so, yeah, that's definitely another topic that the police department has been asked to follow up on. So we have our new chief, Ron Lawrence. If you haven't met him yet, he's a wonderful guy. He attended our Oktoberfest on Saturday. Brought his dog with him, and just it was really great to see him, out and about, at our Parks and Rec related events. So, he's relatively new, but there's a lot of issues that he's being tasked already to explore, and he's got new ideas, and experiences that he's drawing on. So, hopefully some exciting things will come out of all of these discussions. But the e-bike industry kind of blew up, in a positive way from a commercial aspect, but the laws and the guidelines governing them weren't necessarily in line. So, they're having to look at it. There will likely be some ordinances or potentially changes to ordinances that deal with e-bikes for safety. And, I know I was driving with my daughter the other day, and we're at a stoplight of a pretty busy intersection. And there's a kid that looked to be 12 years old, carrying something, on an e-bike in a lane of traffic without a helmet or anything. And it's, you start to worry. We want to increase safety measures, throughout the city to hopefully have, to lower the amount of victims that are, whether on foot or bike or skateboard or scooter or whatever it is. And, we want to protect them, but also protect, the people driving and hopefully obeying the stop sign. So, definitely more to come. And as I continue to hear things, I'll keep bringing them to the commission. I can't speak for PD still, but they are working on a lot of these issues and working with the legal team, and our lawyers are involved in those conversations. So it's a lot of stuff is happening behind the scenes. So
thank you, Director Minter. Perhaps
on the last point, I forgot to address in terms of the letter that was requested by the Bikeway Walkability Committee of the Commission. I'm trying to, part of my direct report to the city manager to make sure that that's an appropriate measure for the commission to take, or unless the council has, other action that they're planning to take. So I acknowledge the request from Commissioner Doran Parker to put something like that on the agenda. And if I get the approval of the city manager to do so, we'll do that in January.
thank you very much. And Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to lend my support for that, bringing that back to the commission. We're, doing whatever we can to just, move that forward and look at that and think through that as something that should be looked at. I think it's ultimately up to the city council. I've made my feelings really clear to my elected officials, so I hope everyone on this call has as well on the matter. And I, I think that influences it. But I also think, and I want to be mindful of this while also pushing for this, something that's very important. The council's dealing with some other really serious issues that I've also been weighing in on, the housing element and, trying to deal with the housing crisis facing our community. So I appreciate you all juggling everything.
And don't forget redistricting is happening right now.
I know, I was at the meeting on Saturday.
Thank you for some very good conversation. And we look forward to perhaps consideration of a presentation, a revisit at our January meeting then. Thank you. The final item is a report again from Director Minter.
It's the Rob Ryan of the afternoon part of this meeting. Yes, that's me. All right, so the director's report is here, or as Monique likes to call it, the manager's report, because most of the stuff is stuff that she's gathered from her staff. But staff continue to do amazing things. Oktoberfest, I know it wasn't technically in September, it was in October, but that's kind of fresh in my mind. And then Scarecrow Fest was another wonderful event, both that took place in October. So, it seems like we're going back way too far to do our September monthly report. But we had a lot of great things happening. I know we're going on hour 3 or nearing that, halfway through that, but the blood drive that took place at the DRC, that's a very positive event that continues to happen. Like to give staff kudos on, continuing to work with them. The Downtown Aquatic Center, we are still hoping to get started on a construction project to redo the plaster that's there. And if that's the case, that will shut down the pool for about 2 months. There was an RFP for that service that had gone out, but I don't think we got bidders. And so they were trying to rebid and revise the spec of it to do that. So there may be some impact on the Aquatic Center, but we'll make sure the notifications get sent out for that. A couple other highlights, just the capital projects, the Jack Hammett Sports Complex. We are planning, there is an item on the next council agenda this next Tuesday for approval of the construction contract for Jack Hammett. That's to add storage and then do some parking lot reconfiguration to expand parking by a considerable amount. So that's going to be a great project. We're trying to work with all of our local sports organizations to minimize impact on them and try to hopefully get this done before tournament season, which is in like late May, early June, and that's when the Chargers come in. But that's going to be a big plus for Hammett. I mentioned the Downtown Aquatic Center, and then you are all hopefully got the invitations to the unveiling of Neff Park, the former Civic Center park located right here next to the police station across Vanguard Way. The naming ceremony is scheduled for 10 a.m. On November 4th, and it would be great for any commissioners that can attend to do so. There's a few other things planned, hopefully for Neff Park, but that's first and foremost. We hope that former police chief Roger Neff will be there in attendance to see his park monument sign unveiled. Upcoming, we have the virtual art venture, which won't be until December. Snoopy House, we're working on dates to release for Snoopy House, but we are planning Snoopy House to be back here in December. Here at City Hall out in front, very similar format to the way it was a few years ago or pre-pandemic. But with that, I will turn it over to Monique if there's anything that she would like to highlight.
I just want to echo Director Minter's accommodations to the staff for Scarecrow Fest. It was very successful in my mind. My first one here with the city, and we like to call it the Scarecrow Fest Reimagined. I know it took place at a different location prior, but I think it went really well at the Lions Park event lawn, and we hope to expand it and do some new things next year. I think with events particularly, we tried to find something unique, and add something to it other than what other cities do, which is great. But, we had stilt walkers and we had pumpkin decorating and we had, just a lot of unique features. All the staff worked really hard, or our assistant rec supervisor, Tiana Johnson, helped plan it. So I want to give kudos to her. And we just look forward to doing more of these kind of events and reimagining what we can do and what kind of little added features we can do to make our city unique with events. Touching on that with Oktoberfest, our animal care services coordinator, Jessica Martinez, she did a wonderful job helping plan that. And it was really nice to see everybody attend, even though it was a little wet. And it forced our staff to think on the fly, but it worked out really well. And so again, we look to help to increase and kind of reimagine and expand events like this that are really successful in the future. With touching just real quick on the Costa Mesa Senior Center, in September, they had a really successful active aging week. And so I think more than 100 seniors came out and participated throughout the week in different kind of, billiards tournaments and crafts and all kinds of fun stuff. And so it was fun to see typical events like that at the senior center come back and people start participating again. With our aquatic center, I know Jason had mentioned the pool is going to get replastered, but we're ending our lessons for the season this week, and we had one of the most successful swim seasons ever in the history of the aquatic center. So that was something really nice, considering we're still in a pandemic, that we had a record attendance of lessons and aqua aerobic participants. So lap swim, all together, the combined numbers, it was a record-setting season. So that, I think that was really great in itself, and considering our staffing shortage, they made it work and still were able to provide lessons and fun stuff at the aquatic center. Our youth programs, they continue to be full to capacity to what we can staff. So that includes LEAP, our Rocks After School program. And again, as we bring on more staff, we will increase participant enrollment and bring kids off the wait list. So we did have a recruitment event the 15th, 16th, and 17th, I believe. We did get a few more staff to come on board, and so we're working on it, we're working through it, and we're doing it to the best of our ability. And so we really want to get all these programs up and running again. So but they are making it work, and kids are having a good time, you know, at all of our programs in the youth aspect. So Jason mentioned our upcoming events. I just want to mention that the virtual art venture is going to be happening in December, and the call for artists has gone out. So if you know anybody, you know, get them to submit some artwork. We're looking for artists. The deadline is this Sunday, October 31st. So, you know, tell anybody you know to get their applications in. We would love to see artists come back and get it featured on in our virtual art gallery. So I think with that, that's all I have for today.
And if I might just follow up, you know, I think Monique did a good job. You know, we tend to focus on special events. There is one tomorrow, by the way, the trunk or treat to be held at IKEA, partnership with IKEA, Power of One Foundation. So definitely check out trunk or treat if you want, tomorrow afternoon / early evening. You know, that's a great partnership that was developed over the last, you know, year and a half of the pandemic. You know, we're sorry to kind of bail on IKEA and Power of One Foundation for Snoopy House this year, but, you know, we want to return it to its home. But, you know, she did mention, you know, we're continuing to struggle to have enough part-time staff. And so while we focus on special events as kind of those benchmarks, you know, the staff are out there doing amazing things every single day through LEAP, through Rocks, you know, through our regular programming. So I definitely didn't want to leave that out. And with that, you know, other than being very proud of my Parks and Community Services team for our outstanding dance performance earlier today, you know, we knocked it out of the park with a Grease Lightning mashup, if you will. I'd love to do it for you now, but, you know, the Zoom environment, it's not really conducive to that. And then lastly, you know, we are looking to join together in January at the January meeting in person here at City Hall. So Laura would be reaching out to you either late November, maybe mid-December, trying to schedule some trainings, because each of you as commissioners will need to learn the sophisticated computer system that council members are still trying to master when it comes to making motions and you know, turning on microphones and all that stuff. So be aware that we will ask for some of your attention. We'll probably do it maybe 3 at a time, 2 at a time, depending on if we get District 3 filled, because we can't have quorum. But we will try to schedule times for each of you to come in and learn the computer system. We didn't want to do it too soon. We want it to be fresh in your minds for the January meeting, but keep in mind that that will be something that will be requested of you, you know, for the new year. So can't believe we're talking about 2022 already, but here it is. We're almost done with October. So that concludes my monthly report for September, and here for any questions if you have them.
Any final comments by commissioners? Thank you, Director Mentor. Thank you, Ms. Villasenor.
One question. Is that 2 questions now?
Oh, they pop up again. Vice Chair Rutherford, or are you going to say somebody else's hand was up first?
Angeli's was up first.
Thank you. I knew I could count on you. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
Yes, and the mini over here. Again, I just want to do a huge appreciation. And I think I saw Monique leading a parade on the Scarecrow. I think that was you, but I couldn't recognize you because, you know, didn't have your Zoom background. But so again, huge congratulations on that event. It was super fun. The only recommendation I would have, maybe more face painters. I mean, that line was going on forever, but it was really fun and engaging. Excited to hear about all the new things that are coming up, and also appreciation for the Rocks, the Leaps program, the one-day camps during conference week for the schools is really just such a huge support for our, not only for myself as a parent, as a commissioner, but just a Costa Mesa resident. You guys make it super affordable, and your staff is just excellent. My kid absolutely loves all of them. So thank you. You're doing fantastic.
I would recommend that Monique come in costume next to Scarecrow Fest. I don't know what happened there. She tricked me into wearing a costume, and then they're like, what are you doing? So, you know.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair Rutherford.
I just want to say it's going to be a little bit before we see each other all again. So, you know, Jason, Monique, Mr. Yang, your whole team makes us proud as Costa Mesans. So we wish you the best in the interim till we see you again.
Hopefully next Thursday, right? Next Thursday, Net Park unveiling.
All right.
Want to add happy holidays, right, to everybody if we don't see each other.
Exactly. Is there any correspondence, or are we moving on to adjournment? Again, I'd like to thank Vice Chair Rutherford and Commissioner Dorn Parker for always trying to make me look better than I really am as I struggle in this environment. So thank you both. I appreciate it. Happy holidays to all of you, and look forward to us getting together on January 27th, 2022.
Thank you, everyone.
Would you like a motion?
I saved that just for you, Commissioner.
And I echo everybody else. Have a lovely holiday, and hopefully we'll see everybody through some events coming up through the end of the year. So I will make a motion for adjournment.
There is second, and we're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.